I met Emily in college. She had this spark, confident and kind, the kind of woman who made a room brighter. We started dating during senior year. 3 years later, I asked her to marry me with a cheap ring and a nervous smile. She said yes without hesitation. Back then, life was simple. We didn't have money, just dreams and late-night promises. I told her I would build something great one day. She said she didn't care about money, only about us. I believed her. After graduation, I worked out of my garage with one old laptop. Emily brought me coffee, cheered me on, and told me I was unstoppable. It felt like we were a team. Every small success felt like a victory for both of us. We rented a tiny apartment that smelled like old carpet and hope. When my company landed its first client, we celebrated with cheap wine. She hugged me and said, "You're going to make it, Mark." I thought she was proud of me. I thought we were unstoppable together. As the years went on, the business grew. I hired employees, moved into an office, bought a decent house. Emily loved every upgrade. She filled the house with designer furniture and expensive candles. She hosted parties for my colleagues and bragged about being a CEO's wife. I didn't mind. I thought she earned that comfort after all the hard years. She didn't have to work, but she said she supported me by managing our home. I agreed because I wanted her to be happy. She came to company events, smiled for photos, and told clients how proud she was. I never noticed how rehearsed that smile had become. Sometimes she'd talk about our company as if she built it too. I found it sweet at first, but later it started to sound different. She stopped asking about my work and cared more about how much we made. She'd say things like, "We should expand, go public, make real money." I laughed it off. I thought it was harmless ambition. Looking back, it was the first crack in the foundation. I still remember one night when she told me, "You're meant to be big, Mark." I said, "We're meant to be big." She smiled but didn't correct me. I didn't see it then, but something changed that night. The woman who once cheered for every little victory started craving something else. Something bigger. Something that wasn't me. I was too busy working late, chasing deadlines, chasing dreams. She was chasing attention, validation, maybe a new kind of excitement. Our marriage looked perfect from the outside. A beautiful house, successful husband, glamorous wife. But inside, the warmth was fading. We didn't talk the same way anymore. She looked at me differently, like I was a project she had outgrown. I thought I could fix it with more time, more love, more money. I was wrong. I didn't realize it then, but the woman I built my life with was already slipping away. And I was too blind to see her walking toward someone else. Tyler joined my company 3 years ago. He was 32, confident, sharp, and full of that fake charm people mistake for charisma. He knew how to talk his way into any room. Clients liked him instantly. He made jokes, told stories, made everyone feel important. Even I liked him at first. He reminded me of myself when I started. Hungry, ambitious, and a little reckless. I thought he could be my right-hand man. The one to help take the company to the next level. But Tyler had other plans. He started getting close to Emily almost immediately. It began with harmless compliments. "Mrs. Carson, that dress looks amazing. You and Mark make such a strong team." Emily laughed, blushed, and called him charming. I didn't think much of it. She was friendly with everyone. But soon, I noticed small things that didn't sit right. At company parties, they talked too long, too close. Tyler poured her drinks, made her laugh more than I did. When I looked their way, they'd shift apart, like teenagers caught passing notes. One night, I came back from the bar and saw him whispering something in her ear. She giggled like she hadn't in years. When I walked up, the air turned heavy. He smiled and said, "Just telling Emily how lucky you are." I smiled back, but inside something twisted. I told myself I was being paranoid. Tyler was just a good employee. Emily was just being polite. That's what I wanted to believe. But the distance between us grew wider every day. Emily started dressing up more, even for simple errands. Perfume, lipstick, heels for grocery shopping. She said she wanted to feel confident. I wanted to believe her. Then she started guarding her phone, changed her passcode, took calls in the other room. I'd walk in and she'd hang up, acting like nothing happened. I asked once, "Everything okay?" She rolled her eyes. "You're always suspicious, Mark. Stop being paranoid." That word hit hard. She never called me that before. I laughed it off, but something in her tone stuck with me. At work, Tyler started overstepping. He'd make decisions without telling me. Scheduled client meetings, changed project plans, even hinted at future leadership. When I asked him about it, he said, "Just thinking ahead, boss." I wanted to believe it was ambition. But ambition doesn't come with secret glances at your wife. One afternoon, I walked into the office and found him sitting in my chair, feet on my desk, talking to an investor like he owned the place. When he saw me, he grinned, just showing Jim where the magic happens. Jim looked uncomfortable. Later, he called me and said, "Keep an eye on that guy, Mark. He's too confident." I brushed it off. I didn't want to admit what my gut already knew. Tyler wasn't just after my job. He was after my life. And Emily was handing it to him, one secret smile at a time. It happened on a Thursday. I was supposed to be on a business trip for 3 days. But the client meeting got canceled, and I took an earlier flight home. I didn't text Emily. I wanted to surprise her, maybe cook dinner, try to fix the tension between us. It was raining when I pulled into the driveway. The lights were on. Her car was there. Everything looked normal. But the moment I stepped inside, something felt off. There was a wine glass on the counter. Music upstairs. And then I heard it. A sound I can't ever forget. A rhythm, a breath, a moan that turned my blood to ice. I froze in the kitchen, trying to convince myself it wasn't real. But it was. I heard her voice. Then his. Tyler. My employee. The man I paid every month. The man I trusted. In my house. In my bed. With my wife. I didn't move for what felt like hours. I could have gone upstairs. I could have screamed, fought, destroyed everything. But I didn't. I just stood there, shaking, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Then I turned around, walked back out and got in my car. The rain hit the windshield like it was mocking me. I drove without thinking. Ended up at my mom's house. I didn't even knock. She came out and saw my face. "Mark, what happened?" I could barely say it. "Emily's cheating on me." With Tyler. She didn't look surprised. "I knew that boy was trouble," she said softly. Her voice wasn't angry, just sad. She hugged me, and for the first time in years, I let her. I stayed the night in my old room. Didn't sleep. Just stared at the ceiling, listening to the sound of betrayal echoing in my head. The next morning, Mom made coffee and said, "You need to call your lawyer." I didn't want to. I still loved Emily, even after what I saw. But love didn't matter anymore. She made her choice. I made mine. I called my lawyer. Then I called my accountant. Then I called Mom's lawyer. If Emily and Tyler wanted to play dirty, I would play smarter. I started paying attention. Mom reminded me of something I had forgot. "The company's still under my name, remember?" she said. It hit me like lightning. 12 years ago, when I started the business, Mom had insisted the legal ownership stay with her. For protection. I thought it was just for taxes. But now, it was the shield I didn't know I needed. Emily thought she was entitled to half of everything. But she couldn't take what I didn't legally own. I smiled for the first time in days. It wasn't joy. It was clarity. They wanted a war. But I already had the upper hand. And this time, I wasn't going to be blind. I spent the next few days in silence. No calls, no texts, just planning. I met with my lawyer and explained everything. He listened carefully, then smiled. "Mark, your mother just saved your company." He showed me the paperwork. Legally, the company belonged to my mom. I was just an employee with profit sharing. That meant Emily couldn't touch a single share. Not $1 of ownership. I couldn't believe it. All these years, I thought Mom was being overprotective. Turns out she was a genius. When I first started the company, I wanted everything in my name. She told me no. She'd seen too many divorces destroy good people. "Protect yourself before you need protection," she said. I didn't understand then, but I did now. The lawyer confirmed it again. In a divorce, only your income counts. The company is completely off the table. I felt something shift inside me. For the first time since that night, I wasn't helpless. I had power, and I was going to use it. I hired a private investigator. Told him I wanted everything. Photos, messages, locations, the truth in black and white. He worked fast. Within a week, he handed me a folder thick with evidence. Hotel receipts, timestamps, pictures. Emily and Tyler together at restaurants, at his apartment, in my home. Seeing it hurt, but it also fueled me. Now I had proof. Not just of betrayal, but of intent. Because hidden in those emails was something worse. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning to take over my company. One message from Emily read: "Once the divorce is done, we'll make Tyler CEO. He deserves it." Tyler replied, "Can't wait to see his face when we take over his empire." They laughed about it. About ruining my life. They thought I was blind. I showed the emails to my mom. She closed the laptop and said, "Make sure she suffers." I told her, I already have a plan. I started documenting everything at work. Every decision Tyler made without my approval. Every meeting he hijacked. Every inappropriate email. I built a file thick enough to crush him. Meanwhile, I strengthened my relationships with our biggest clients. Dinner meetings, calls, quiet reassurances. They trusted me, not him. When the time came, I wanted them all on my side. Emily, meanwhile, had no idea what was coming. She was still smiling, still pretending, still calling me paranoid. But I had stopped feeling pain. Only focus remained. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to yell. I was going to wait. Let her dig her own grave. And when she thought she'd won, I'd pull the ground out from under her. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about control. And I was finally taking mine back. I called the company meeting and announced a restructuring that would start immediately. Tyler walked in wearing a new suit and acting like he owned the room. He smiled when I mentioned promotions and changes, thinking this was his moment. I watched him closely. Then I read the names I'd chosen to replace his responsibilities. His face went from confident to confused in the space of one breath. I explained calmly that his role was redundant and that we were eliminating his position effective immediately. Security escorted him to his car while he protested and threatened lawsuits he could never win. I handed him his termination letter and pointed out the at-will and morality clauses he had signed. He tried to argue that his relationship with my wife was nobody's business, but he had already broken company policy. His calls to clients and attempts to plot a takeover were documented and time-stamped in my files. Within a week, his inbox was full of forwarded termination notices, and his reputation began to unravel. Rumors spread through the industry about why he was fired, and no one wanted to risk hearing him. Meanwhile, I presented the evidence from the private investigator to my lawyer, and we prepared for the divorce hearing. Emily arrived with an aggressive lawyer and a confident plan to claim half of what she believed was mine. Her attorney argued she had been integral to building the business through networking and support. My lawyer slid over the incorporation documents, showing my mother as the company's legal owner. The courtroom fell silent as the judge reviewed the paperwork, and the facts became undeniable. Emily's lawyer attempted to argue fraud and concealment, but the accountant's records were meticulous and clear. The judge remarked that the affair and the scheme to oust me undermined any equitable claims she might have. In the settlement, Emily received the house, which carried a hefty mortgage, half our liquid savings, and her car. She left without shares, without stock options, and without the future royalties she'd planned to seize. Tyler tried to sue for wrongful termination, but his contract and the morality clause ended that hope quickly. His attempts to salvage a tech career ended with him selling electronics in a retail store far from our industry. Our clients reaffirmed their loyalty to me after private conversations and reassurances about continuity. The team rallied, grateful the attempted takeover had been stopped before it could damage their livelihoods. We promoted long-serving, loyal employees into senior roles and rebuilt trust from the inside out. Revenue climbed as focus returned, and distraction left the building like a bad smell finally cleared. Emily later showed up at my door begging and apologizing, but I shut it and walked away. She tried LinkedIn and messages, but I blocked every attempt to insert herself back into my life. Tyler resurfaced at a bar once, trying to act tough, but his shame did the talking for him. The company stabilized and started signing new clients who respected our resilience and leadership. My mother printed court papers and framed them in her office, proud that her legal foresight had mattered. I kept the dog we both loved and moved into a new place with a clean view and no ghosts. Employees threw a small party and gave me a cake that read, "Congratulations on your freedom." The betrayal left scars, but also taught me the value of protection, documentation, and loyal people. I focused on growth, trusted fewer smiles immediately, and made sure the legal structure matched my life. In private, Emily struggled financially and socially, a cautionary tale about choices and consequences. Tyler tried to repair his life with a new relationship, but the industry rarely forgets a scandal. I learned that sometimes silence and preparation win, where fury would only burn bridges. And I learned to let people face the outcomes of their decisions, while I rebuilt what really mattered. Life after the storm felt strangely quiet. No shouting, no secrets, no pretending. Just silence and the steady hum of my own peace. The company grew faster than ever. Without distraction or deceit, I could finally focus again. We landed new contracts and strengthened partnerships I had once neglected. My employees seemed lighter, happier, loyal in a way that felt earned. I promoted 2 of them to senior positions, people who stood by me through chaos. One afternoon, they surprised me with a cake that said "New Beginnings." I laughed for the first time in months. Mom was happier too. She framed the court order in her office like a trophy of wisdom. Every visitor got the same line from her: "Always protect your assets." I owed her everything. Without her foresight, I would have lost the company, maybe even myself. She told me, "You're older now, wiser, but wait before you trust again." And she was right. Dating felt impossible at first. Every time someone smiled too quickly or asked about what I did, I shut down. I went on a few dates, but small questions about money or cars sent alarms ringing. My therapist said I had trust issues. I told her I had survival instincts. She wrote something in her notebook and said nothing. I didn't care. I was fine being alone. For the first time in years, my life was completely mine. Emily tried to contact me again through mutual friends. She said she missed me, that she realized what she lost. I didn't reply. Then she called from a friend's number, asking for help with rent and car payments. Her voice was soft, desperate, familiar in the worst way. I almost pitied her. Almost. But I remembered the emails, the laughter, the plan to steal everything from me. So I said, "You meant something once, now you're just a lesson." Then I hung up, blocked the number, and felt nothing. That was the real closure. A year later, the company was worth more than ever. 15 million in valuation and growing. Investors called. Clients returned. My team respected me more than before. Even the office air felt cleaner without deceit in it. Sometimes I saw Emily in town. She looked smaller somehow, worn out, like the world finally caught up with her. Tyler was still around too, working retail, pretending to be happy. They passed me once at a restaurant and looked away. I smiled and kept walking. Revenge didn't feel like fire anymore. It felt like peace. Like walking out of a storm you once thought would drown you. Mom says I should move the company back under my name now. I tell her maybe later. I trust her holding it more than anyone else. Because people change. Papers don't. I still work late nights, but now I sleep better. No whispers. No lies. Just me, the glow of my computer screen, and the quiet satisfaction of survival. The past doesn't haunt me anymore. It just reminds me that sometimes, losing everything fake is how you find what's real. Looking back now, I see everything clearly. The signs, the warnings, the moments I ignored. I wasn't blind, just hopeful. But hope can make you foolish. Emily and Tyler thought they were clever. They thought love made me weak. But they forgot who built the empire they tried to steal. They forgot where my strength came from. It wasn't the money or the business. It was resilience, the will to start again when everything burns. They lost everything chasing greed. I gained clarity by letting go. My mom still jokes that she saved my life, not just my company. She's probably right. Every time I see that framed court paper, I remember her words. Protect what matters before someone decides to take it. I finally understand. Some people learn through love. Others through pain. I learned through betrayal and the silence that followed it. The best revenge isn't anger or destruction. It's peace. It's walking away while they drown in the mess they made. And smiling because you survived it. Because in the end, they lost everything. And I lost nothing worth keeping.